Hello everybody, and welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons! It's raining. We're gonna have a fashion show in the rain. Step Rambler making easy money sounds good, right? It's never that easy. Some folks look like they're just sailing through life, might be working real hard behind the scenes. No shortcuts, kiddo. Except I'm completely rich in here on this island, and I've barely done anything. So, kind of proves that one wrong, Serrano. So, I basically just ended up watching a video, and I kind of want to ramble about it. More the event the video was covering more than the video specifically itself. Diva! Zoops! Was hoping I'd see you with the latest. Enjoying the evening, Queen. Me too. Nice to get me hyped. It's very fair. Hello, Caroline. Peanut. Nice to see you. Let's talk. Getting some fresh air always puts me in a good mood, Tallnut. That is very fair. We got Sabes. We got Mara now. Look at her little hat. How's your day going, Blurp? Chat with me. Try to be a good listener. You can talk to me anytime, Blurp. That is very fair. So, the video I just watched was on Operation Catapult during World War II. Or in other words, the British sinking the French fleet at Mars El Kabir. And the thing I mostly want to talk about is, even though it is pretty universally accepted at this point that the British could not risk the French fleet falling into German hands, there are still people who are like, but the British should have just left them alone. It's like, literally, the French fleet was sitting there going, trust me, bro. We'll scuttle our ships, bro, if the Germans try anything. So just trust us, bro. Like, that's basically what the French were doing. And that's not good enough when literally winning or losing that war for the British would have, hinged on the Germans getting their hands on those French ships. The French had a pretty big navy. Some French ships had already made their way to Britain, but were still under the command of this new Vichy France government, which was a dangerous thing. They were suitably disarmed around Britain, but it wouldn't have taken much effort for, say, Richelieu to get her guns back in order, and now there is a battery of 8 380mm guns on the coast of Britain. You know. Hey there, Steven. Stay a while, Airmail. Let's chat. I'm trying to learn magic tricks. I asked Pinky to help me practice. I was gonna put her in a cardboard box and presto, make her disappear. When I try something new, sometimes I find out I have a real knack for it. So I was gonna ask her to get in the box, but that might actually make her vanish. So instead I abandoned my trick and used the box as a table. At least we had a pretty nice tea party. Aww. But like, of the world's navies, France had basically the second strongest navy going into World War II, followed just behind the Royal Navy. Like, should it have come down to a naval engagement that decided the fate of France, they wouldn't have fallen to Germany. Very likely. They might still have. A lot of the French were very defeatist at the time, which was part of the problem. But the British offered the French 3 very reasonable solutions, and one unspoken solution that was reasonable to the British. Join us? Come to Britain and just give us your ships. We'll send you all home, no problem. leave. Go somewhere where the Germans can't get you. Like, those are good options. How you doing, Steven? Looking for someplace to escape the rain? Well, you found it. It's the latest. Hey, don't touch my log dining table. I had a big buttermilk spill earlier and the stuff's still sticky. You may want to clean that up if it's still sticky from buttermilk. You may want to clean that. You don't want mold. You don't want mold, Simon. But, like, if I was the French in that situation, maybe I'm just a special case, I would have chose option 1. Taking myself and as many loyal sailors as I could find that, you know, wanted to reclaim my homeland and joining the Royal Navy. You know, the French would have maintained full ownership over their own navy. Even in the event of just giving the ships over. Jeez. Any that survived the war would be returned. Like, these were not being commandeered, these were being lent in the event of just giving the ships over. It's pretty reasonable in my mind. Like, going somewhere else. One of the options was quite literally, go to the United States. Just get off. Get away from Europe. Just go. Out of the reach of the Germans. Welcome, Butterbean. Make yourself comfy, Snorty. One chat. The more pumpkin decorations I see, the more excited I get. I can't wait for Halloween, Snorty. Okay, looks like I gotta get some pumpkin decorations around her house. But, like... And the US was chose as a primary example because, at the time, the US wasn't in the war. They couldn't join the war. The US populace was doing what the US populace does, and simultaneously wanting everyone to care the most about them, but also not get involved with anyone else's stuff. That's just what the US has kind of always done. Are you talking to me? Sorry, I was way in the DIY zone, Twinkles. What'd you up to? Well, making a spooky treats basket. Dreamt the idea when I fell asleep watching Meg Lives in Love. It's about trains and love, one of them. Oh, wait, hang on, not important. Doesn't matter if Meg Lives might took the relationship off the rails, because I'm building a thing. I would love to know. Like, the US has always been very isolationist. It's just kind of how they are. But they also want people to care about them a lot more than they care about others. And this is just a general thing. I'm not saying all Americans are like this. It's just how your politics have been. And at the beginning of World War II, that's very much how it was. The populace was basically split 50-50 on who was even responsible for the war, with half of them blaming the British for Germany's conquering of Europe. Like, the other half blaming Germany for Germany's conquering of Europe. So, you know, but they're pretty all firmly in agreement, we're not gonna go to war. We're not going to war for the British. We're not doing it. So, the French fleet going to the United States, who were happy to take them, would have treated them well. You know, that was a valid option. Desk Walker, take a load off. It's latest. Mission tourneys tomorrow. Getting way too hyped. Like I should chill out, Nightshade. Usually, I think fishing's kind of dull. There's something mega thrilling about battling a tug on your line. Plus, I love me some competition. Is this fair? I'll actually be recording that in the morning before I go to sleep, so I can make sure I make it to the fishing tourney. Yep, nope, yep, Vine. But, like, if I was in the British situation in all this, I would have sunk the fleet. I would have chosen an admiral who would have done a better job sinking the fleet should the French have refused the deal. Because that was the unspoken fourth possibility. Sink the fleet. Because as wargaming has proven, not the company, but like the actual act of playing out a military engagement, Operation Sea Lion, aka the German invasion of Britain, fails every time. Unless the Germans have the French Navy. Because the only reason it fails is the Royal Navy. Like, the Royal Navy's ability to prevent any Germans that did make landfall on Britain from being supplied while keeping British supply lines open is what wins for Britain in Operation Sea Lion. The Germans could not have won because they simply could never actually take Britain out of the war. Unless they had access to the French Navy. If they had the French Navy, the British lose. Because even just at Mars Al-Kabir, there were 4 battleships, 6 destroyers, an avisero, a seaplane tender, and 42 aircraft in the battle itself. There were a lot more aircraft, but this was just the battle itself. That's a pretty sizable force. Especially when you consider in Britain there was multiple destroyers already, the battleship Richelieu, the battleship Jean Bart was still under construction. They had already started laying down the hull for the battleship Gascon. Like, the French Navy was huge. And powerful. I mean, basically, the flagship fleet of the Royal Navy is what was fighting in this battle. And that was 1 aircraft carrier, 2 battleships, a battle cruiser, 2 light cruisers, and 11 destroyers. That was the flagship fleet of the Royal Navy. That's the fleet the Hood was in, hence the battle cruiser. Because Hood was a battle cruiser. Like, they were pretty comparable in size. The biggest advantage the Royal Navy had there was having an aircraft carrier. But that's because this was still early in the war, and no one really fully understood the importance of aircraft carriers yet. I've already got plenty of these. I'll buy another one. Saves me from crafting it. Like, the Royal Navy would have been in real trouble had the French fleet fallen to the Germans. So, no, I do not blame the British at all, and I would have done the same thing in their position. Like, I also hate, as much as I love French military vehicles, like the ARL-44 is hilariously stupid looking. It's a heavy tank built near the end of World War II that looks like it would have been right at home at the tail end of the First World War. It's freaking hilarious, minus the gun. Like, it's hilarious to look at. Like, it was designed for World War I, built near the end of World War II. The AMX-13 is a dinky little, funny little, it's like the size of a car. Like, French naval ships are either insanely tall, basically hotels on the ocean, or derpy looking with, you know, their typical design of the 2 quad turrets in the front. Like, they've made really cool, funny-looking things. And I do like the equipment they made. I hate their mentality. And you can understand it to a degree. At the beginning of World War II, the French had given up. That's why they were conquered so quickly. They had given up. Before the first shot had been fired, the French had given up. The fight had already gone out of them. Because, well, let's not forget, the First World War had not been that long ago. And it was horrific for the French. And here they are. The prospect of that again was too much. They gave up. There were some French who continued to fight. There are some French that only started to fight after it was already over. That being, you know, the Free French. And all the many groups that comprised the Free French. They weren't one unified body. They were like hundreds of different small groups that all hated each other and were mostly an ineffective fighting force. France could never have liberated itself. It just couldn't have. They couldn't agree well enough. Like, yeah, I just saw so many comments on this video, people being like, well, the British should feel ashamed of what they've done, and the French are right for calling it a tragedy. It's like, well, yes, technically the British did fire on a former ally. What were the British supposed to do? Wait for that former ally to fire on them first? Because that very much looked like what was going to happen. And people will make mention of, oh, but in Toulon, they did scuttle the fleet. Yes, 2 years later, after the mustached man had broken every promise he had made to the French, including completely conquering Vichy France and removing their supposedly independent government, that's when they went, oh, we couldn't trust him. Like, it's a completely different situation. This was a situation where, like, it became abundantly clear to the French at that point that, yeah, they can't trust the Germans. Who would have thought? Who would have thought they couldn't trust their conquerors? Other than anyone with half a brain cell, but still. Like, the problem is, though, as was made pretty apparent by dialogue from ambassadors, the people in charge in Vichy France were of the opinion that the Germans just loved the French so much that the Germans were actually seeking to create a giant super country in Europe, and France was going to be their favored vassal. They were going to be they were going to be top dog. That was the opinion. That's why they didn't want to give up their fleet. Let's do it. Hello there. Stop by again to continue my fashion studies. Yes, I can help you again. An outdoorsy outfit. Go for hike or camping. Hike. Camping. I'm good. Picnic at the park? Yeah, I'm already... Label, I wear the same thing everywhere. Tweed vest. How would a tweed vest... Wait, no, that's like the puffy vest thing that looks bad, isn't it? Zip, zip. There we go. Alright, let's see here. Yeah, well, no, that's actually not what I thought it was. Let's see... Need outdoorsy. I mean, a military uniform's pretty outdoorsy. I thought it was one of these. suppose raincoat, especially where it's raining. Heck yeah, raincoat. Okay. Let's get a raincoat. Let's see. I want to really try to fit what she wants, but I have nothing that works pants-wise. Could go with a little, just like fringe skirt, or I could just go flare. Yeah, it kind of works. Let's see. I'm pretty sure I don't have a rain cap, but I do have an outdoor cap. Wait, I mean, I got this, which is kind of a rainy cap. They all look bad. Oh, no, I do have a rain hat. It's just not a matching color at all. Sombrero. Yeah, I think I want to just go for one of these. I'll do this one. The color of this raincoat is bothering me, but I don't really have a better option. Let's just go with some basic striped socks. Want some sneakers. Because sneakers are pretty comfy. Could go rain boots, but again, these are terrible color. Walking shoes. It's still not a good color for this. Okay, I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go check the Able Sisters and see if they maybe have a better colored raincoat. It is raining. Today would be a great day to sell a raincoat. But like, I understand to a degree the mentality of like, oh, well, it was so bad of the British to fire on their ally, except, like, were they supposed to just let themselves get conquered then? I mean, that's what a lot of the French seem to think the British should be doing, is just letting themselves be conquered, because, that's what they did, so, the British should do that too. It's just good manners, really. Okay, yeah, there's nothing here I really want for this outfit. Yeah. It's not great, but it'll do. I mean, it's actually kind of growing on me a little bit. It doesn't look amazing, but it's a hodgepodge and it works. Especially with the umbrella. And, like, ideally, yes, you would love to have seen the French fleet just be left alone. The British trust them. The Germans never try to take them because the Mustache Man he totally promised that he would never try to take the French fleet. That was the French fleet. That was their fleet. Except Germany only had, like, one finished battleship. And the Royal Navy had many. And he had a few battle cruisers. Gneisenau and Scharnhorst. But yeah, the British had a lot more battle cruisers, too. That French fleet's pretty big. You may look more closely. See then. See, I love her animations when she has the umbrella. You've really captured the outdoorsy look. Even the details are on point. It's always teach me so much. Some fashion inspiration. Oh, she appreciates us so much. We have her own 2 paws. Well, we got socks. Some Labelle socks from her brand. The newest creation that we've already gotten before, but I just love helping out our girl label. But yeah, I know it's almost certainly because I'm looking at this very pragmatically. Like, The way I'm looking at this, and you may look at this whole situation differently, the way I'm looking at this is the end goal is not to be conquered by Germany. That is the end goal. That is the goal everybody should have had. So, doing things that are going to prevent you from being conquered is the idea. Leave myself with 7,000 bells, because I'm going to do some fishing, so. To 11 million. With nothing to spend it on. See what we got in here. Pastel puzzle. Pastel puzzle. Like, it's just one of those things where, like, I cannot blame the British for doing a thing that basically all but assured they could not lose. It wasn't a move towards winning, but it was a move against losing. And as long as the British don't lose, they'll eventually find a way to win, probably. Because that's what happens when you're in a situation where you cannot lose, is eventually you will win. Like, it's just how it is. And given, at the time, the British were basically arming the colonies, it's when Canada's army started becoming the elite force that it was again. Because after the First World War, most of our army, they went home. We were done. That was supposed to be the war to end all wars. We kept a token military around, but that was supposed to be it. That's what everyone was told by the end of the First World War, that this was the war to end all wars. And then it wasn't. And then we needed a military again, but we'd kind of neglected ours, admittedly. We kind of neglected it. We aren't in a position to need a military. Ironically, we are right now, but that's because our neighbor to the south, who is also in a position to never really need a military, has a really big one and is being very threatening and provocative towards us. Which, as I've said many a time, no hate towards everyday Americans. Wars are fought between governments. The people are just to be shot. That's how wars work. It's the government that I have an issue with because of how provocative they've been being. Hi, Superstar. You may be looking for a ninja costume? No? Oh? For real? I wonder where I heard that from. Well, whatever. You can still have it. Consider it a gift. I mean, alright. Recycling gifts is like a tradition in my family, so if you don't want this, just give it to somebody else. I should really just give that to Simon. He would love a ninja outfit. But, like, basically, the British were in a position where once they got India sorted, Australia sorted, New Zealand sorted, Canada sorted, they had the manpower and very likely industry to win the war on their own. The Americans were helping. Don't get me wrong, the Americans sped up the timetable by a large amount. But ultimately, the British had kind of given up on the Americans. Because the way it felt and looked during that time was the Americans had more or less given up on the world. Now, the American president at the time wanted to help, but the American people didn't. So, what the people wanted went. The people didn't want something, it didn't happen. So, the British were arming the colonies. And I'm gonna make the bold claim here that if Japan had never attacked the United States, Canada would have been the North American superpower. Like, we got Tantanmen, whatever that is. It's Tantanmen. And that mostly just comes down to the Americans wouldn't have built up their military the way they did. They would have been an arms producer, sure, but even that probably would have gotten overtaken by Canada at some point. Let's put this up here, get the standing lamp. There we go. Oh, hey, it's already the right way. Yeah. Like, that is if Japan had never bombed the United States, because they were happy to just sit around making stuff. And even then, it was mostly just assembling things from bits that they were buying from everybody else, because that's kind of how industry works. A country can't do it all itself. The world is not situated like that. But yeah. Man, I have rambled like half an hour on this. And I've barely scratched the surface of the whole thing. If you want to see a big, like, hour-and-a-half long deep dive into this part of Operation Catapult, Lindy Beige, the YouTuber Lindy Beige, has a very, very long video on it. It's the one, in fact, I watched and was reading the comments of that sparked this ramble. Whoops. I do also have another thing I can ramble about, so I might wait until tomorrow to ramble about it in full. Just so I have something that I can ramble about tomorrow while I'm fishing tomorrow, because, well, fishing tourney. Yeah, I've been kind of heavily considering getting Baldur's Gate 3 and kind of, like, trying to get, really back into D&D. I used to play a bit of D&D, like, online in a few groups, like, way back in the day for me. This was around the time 4th edition was the primary thing, and nobody really liked it, so everybody was playing their preferred version or homebrew of, like, 3rd or 2nd or, you know, that sort of stuff. And, you know, a lot of people didn't like 4th edition of D&D because it basically turned the game into Oblivion, but on paper, and nobody liked that. It wasn't Dungeons and Dragons anymore, it was Elder Scrolls. Blah. Fishing with my eyes. Got fishing with my eyes. But yeah, like, I have heard I didn't think the fish was going to notice the bobber. I'm very good at this. I've noticed some things about 5th edition that I really like. I'm a little sad that they aren't in Baldur's Gate 3, but they're newer than Baldur's Gate 3 is, so, you know. And I have played some Larian Studios games before. Specifically, Divine Divinity. Which I might replay. Might be fun. I was playing Solasta last night, which I really want to like that game, but, like, the lack of voices drives me crazy. Like, because I'm me, I'll admit, I'm a bit of a perv. I have a party of 4 female characters. There are 2 female voices. And you can't, like, adjust their pitch or anything. There are 2 female voices. Yeah. They really wanted you to have a party of 2 dudes, 2 women. That was the party they clearly intended you to have. Why did I get a tulip? Oh, right. Yeah, I remember now. You know, just because I'm gonna have plenty tomorrow, I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna be guessing prices of fish tomorrow. I don't want to guess right now. Too much effort. I'm lazy. More fishing rod. I really want a fishing fish. Nah, nothing else looks interesting. Not unless you got fishing fish. In which case, I'll buy the fishing fish so I can put the fishing fish on my fishing rod. So I can fishing fish while I fishing rod. Fish. Pretty cool. They're pretty cool things. Yeah, like I do want to actually like play through Celeste at some point. Because it does seem like it's a pretty fun game, and like what I've played of it is just pretty fun. I do wish that instead of tying classes to DLC, they would have instead, you know, just released updates. Races, sure. Attach races to DLC. The races aren't anywhere near as important. But like, if you want to play with a bard, a lot of people like their bards. As a lifelong paladin, no, you can take your bards and shove them, but if you wanted a bard in your party, you would need... Let me find Celesta in my list here. TF2 has an update. Let's see. Which one is it? Inner Strength? Yes. You would need the expansion Inner Strength, which gives you the Warlock, the Bard, the Monk, and Dragonborns as a race. Like, and that's, you know, this is Canadian dollars, but that's like $11, which admittedly is not a huge amount of money, I will grant, but those are some pretty basic D&D classes. And this basically being a homebrew of D&D mixed with Pathfinder. Yeah. Like, the race, sure. Give us the race, and maybe some new voices, and, you know, do stuff that isn't important. I mean, a lot of people might find being able to play a Dragonborn important, but some people are not going to. I don't. I am very much a Dragonlance fan, and I do not trust those scaly people. A lot of bad interactions with effectively Dragonborn in that universe. So I would rather not. I did see that a mod for Baldur's Gate 3 adds Kenders, and I love that. Like, I understand people who don't like the aesthetic of Kenders. I get it. I'm not a fan of the aesthetic either. It's just a fun race. Because, like, they're just kleptomaniac thieves, you know, hobbits, basically. Like, they're just kleptomaniacs. And, yeah, it's just kind of funny. A Kender walking through a tavern is going to walk out with his pockets full of things that are not his. and not know where he got them from. And if you accuse a Kender of stealing, and can prove that, hey, that was your thing, they were just keeping it safe for you. Don't worry. You never know when someone's gonna steal your stuff. I'm just keeping it safe. Don't worry about it. And they're such charismatic little fricks that they might convince you that that's all they're doing, and you'll let them keep it. Like, you can't intimidate one either. They're immune to fear. You can't scare the little shits. Like, it's great. But yeah, I have actually considered playing through some, like, Solasta stuff on, like, stream, maybe. Because, like, I know people like watching people play games like that just to see how they react to various bits of content. Which is kind of what I want Baldur's Gate 3 for. Because I just feel like that could be kind of fun. Because, like, I do like D&D. Like, it's something I've kind of always liked. It's probably why I also like role-playing, is because, like, role-playing is basically just D&D without the dice. Like, you're still telling a joint story between whoever is leading the roleplay and everyone else involved in it. You know. It's pretty nice. Like, I just enjoy that aspect of it. I do almost require a DM that has a certain level of creativity to them, because alignment charts are opinions. Okay, paladins are basically almost forced into being lawful good. There are some games that will allow you to do other forms of lawful, but like, for the most part, you're lawful good, whether you like it or not, if you're a paladin. But, like, what if that paladin is not following a lawful good god? Not all gods are good, but is following their teachings perfectly, lawfully, and is doing good in their own mind. That right there is still, in my opinion, lawful good. They are performing actions they perceive as good, lawfully as their god tells them to. They're just doing things like punting people off of a cliff and, you know, just cold-bloodedly murdering somebody. You know, that sort of stuff. Truly paladin-coded actions. You know. So, like, I do almost require a DM with that sort of creativity and sense of humor to them, because I don't have it in me to play a proper goody two-shoes lawful paladin. Like, I can't do it. There are too many instances of I just can't do it. Like, here's an example. It's a joke I made in a streamer's chat who was playing Baldur's Gate 3. Of basically one of the NPCs made the comment that basically their god was effectively the correct god and held jurisdiction here. It's like, nah, that's what you say, but my longsword says differently. Like, a lawful good paladin following the traditional lawful good would just turn the other cheek, you know, just ignore the comment. Maybe attempt to convert them, but they wouldn't do anything about it. They would not actually defend their god in this situation. They would just trust that, their god has this handled. It is unlawful of me to just attack this person, so I will not be doing that. Meanwhile, you know, a paladin that actually wishes to defend their deity, well, they would be drawing longsword and actually defending their deity, you know. But, you know, you don't get that. That'd be too easy. Also, I do want to say, because you guys will have seen this last night, as you'll have noticed, my stream time is now similar but flipped. It's at night now. It's going to be like that for a while. I don't know if my sleep schedule is going to permanently stay me being awake at night. I feel so much better being awake at night. So, like, I'm thinking of streaming in, like, the evenings. Which does mean I'm a little mixed on how I'm going to do Saturdays, because when I'm thinking of starting to stream, the time I'm playing with in my head at the moment is around 10 p.m. Which, as you might notice, is about 2 hours from now, right at this moment. So, you know. So if I do that, I won't be able to take part in the game nights in the 8-bit Discord, and even my own game night, I won't really be able to do anymore, because it'll be an hour and a half I can chill for, you know. So, I might... Well, no, my own game night I'll be fine on, because I do that on Fridays, but the regular game night's on Saturday, so I might change my streams from Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday to Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. I might do that, because that would allow me to keep doing things, or I might just skip out on the game nights. I do enjoy going, though, that's the thing. But yeah, I'll have to figure that stuff out on my own. I got stuff I need to finish up tonight which will be last night for you guys. Time is a funny thing. I need to get things set up so I can do more work tonight. So, with all that said, thank you all very much for watching, and hopefully I shall see you back here tomorrow for more Animal Crossing New Horizons. See you all then.